Hey everyone, a couple days back I did a video about this guy, your fellow Arab, this YouTuber that went to Haiti to interview a gang leader in that country that basically just took it over. And in that video, I will admit, it was very worrying because the only statements we had was basically just on Twitter, and it was just from his friends saying like how they're worried and they're currently in process of like trying to negotiate between the gang to let him go. But you know, any kidnapping case in that country where the gang basically has a hold of it in their hands, it's already worrying. But the fact that it's a YouTuber already, but in my mind that was way worse because he's not a huge news organization, he's just a YouTuber. So from their perspective, probably like just getting a normal civilian they've done before in the past, definitely. But at the same time, they wouldn't really gain anything if they did. It would just be the safer option to let them go, which is why in my video I was, worried in general. But at the end I didn't mention like how I definitely see like how they're gonna let him go and they'll come back to his home with a bunch of footage that he recorded meanwhile there, and he'll make a video talking about the experience, which he has, as well as dropping a trailer for the video. But that isn't the main focus of this new video today, where he's like come back safely. It was more so the grandiose way he's returned home. Because when I first saw the trailer, I was blown away at like how high quality it was, which is not surprising. Like, I'm happy that video on YouTube is of this quality, but if you watched it without context, like without audio, you wouldn't assume it's from a guy that just got kidnapped a few days ago. And that's only for the 2-minute long trailer, so I can't imagine how grand the final video will be in total. But it was bizarre to see the first snippet announced the video to be, of that high quality. Like, it really did feel like the second he got out, he was almost planning to have like a hound of editors just leash on the video or the footage that he had to just quickly edit it as fast as possible. Because it's not hard to imagine that with these kinds of videos it take time, because no matter how many editors you have at your disposal, like maybe 5 at most, it's still hard to organize them all in one to come together and still make the final video as quickly as you want. And looking back, I did come to the realization that he might have like already had the trailer or the video halfway done, but he just needed like to get the footage of him in Haiti, or else it wouldn't make sense for him to be like, yeah, I was in Haiti, and then have no footage for it. But with that said, I don't think his expectation of going to the country was getting kidnapped. Of course he was expecting to get an interview with the gang leader, but there's no reason to expect him to be taken hostage, or else he just wouldn't make the video. Anyhow, I want to show a few snippets of the trailer, because from it really did feel like the opposite case that I was looking into when I first made my video on him, where it really felt like an amateur crew that really wants to like get an insight of the country and the gang by getting an interview. But then compared to the trailer, it feels like it has 10 times the production quality, which might be custom in his own video because I haven't really watched him. But you have like such a bizarre shift in the story from going to point A of being kidnapped to point B of making this huge video about it.
This is a true story. For the last 17 days, I've been kidnapped by one of Haiti's most powerful gang leaders, Lamont Saint-Just. Locked behind a reinforced door, surrounded by barbed wire and guard dogs, inside a concrete prison, miles away from any human civilization. There I sat in Croix du Bouquet, Haiti, helpless.
So in the video, you have it start off by making it seem like it was a worst case scenario, which in my mind, you would have like someone else document that kind of story, instead of yourself being like, oh my god, it was so bad. There are guard dogs, a reinforced door, a concrete prison. It was just massive, I couldn't handle it. By the way, I really like the part where he snitches on the UN guards that led him through the country.
See, this story began when a group of corrupt border guards and United Nations staff escorted me into the country by jungle, at a time where all borders were closed.
Which, I don't imagine that workforce being massive for that country, so they can probably rule out 2 people from the 5 employees they already have hired. There was also this part where he seemed very eager to interview the gang leader, which at the time when I first made my video on him, I was expecting him to just like talk to him for a little bit, because if you're gonna make a video about the gang in Haiti and you have the small chance of getting an interview, like a short one with the gang leader, then you might as well take it. But now looking at the trailer, or at least the way he structured it, it really seemed like he was, really excited, as if like that was the entire pinnacle of the journey to Haiti, which of course would be the most dangerous part of the journey, because already like just going to the country and at least going to outside the parts where like the United Nations control and going to the street in general would be bad already. But you go like that deep into the gang and interview the leader, that'd be way worse.
The purpose of this visit? To interview current insurrection leader Barbecue, a man who broke 2 prisons and released nearly 4,000 inmates into the streets of Port-au-Prince, throwing the entire nation into turmoil.
Like, it really seems high risk, but small reward. Cause, well, like, what do you really gain from interviewing the gang leader? Of course, he's just crazy. Are you expecting like a 1 hour long explanation from himself, like talk about his childhood? It's not like he's gonna interview Mother Teresa and like talk about God and Jesus Christ. I wanna say now, so far in this video and the way I prepared it beforehand, it really seems like I've turned on him because, you know, at first I was worried and now I'm like making him sound like an asshole. If I first saw the trailer he made right now, as opposed to the tweets by his friend that was very worried about him, I wouldn't still want him to be kidnapped because, you know, no one deserves to be in that kind of scenario for such a harmless video about the gang. Of course, yeah, it's a dumb idea to interview directly the gang leader when he's very clearly like not the most diplomatic person ever, but I don't think that warrants for him to be taken hostage and held for days. My main driving force for why I'm seeming kind of annoyed right now is the way the trailer's edited. Like, there's not a video style I hate more than a kind of like documentary where someone like a journalist, they're not experienced of course, but they have the knowledge about the subject and they have a huge number of editors to work with them, so it makes it seem like really high quality. But at the same time, if you make a video around the borders of YouTube, you have to make it as like, you know, most like entertainment as possible. So you have to sacrifice realism and, you know, try to make it honest to make it more entertaining with this kind of, you know, high-paced action kind of trailer. If you've seen Tal Oliveira, you're gonna see like how I'm gonna draw connections to this trailer as well, which is like, you know, making it very action-paced and, you know, soy jacking and pointing at the thumbnail. I would also like to mention now, one thing that would break me is that like, if he came back from being kidnapped and he's very clearly, you know, distraught from it, because I mean any person would be being held hostage in a country basically held by a gang, and even the president had to run away. But one part that really makes me feel like he enjoyed his experience and came out of it happy is the one part where like, he's holding up a shotgun. He's like, yeah, they had guns pointed at my head. It was crazy.
This is currently the most dangerous country in the world. So we actually cannot leave to Port-au-Prince until the morning, and that place is completely run by gangs. All it takes is one stupid gang member holding an AK-47 for one thing to go wrong. But I have the entire hotel to myself. With confirmed passage from Barbecue's people, my fixer Sean Sacra and I would road trip from the beautiful city of Cap-Haïtien to Port-au-Prince, where we were set up by a group of BSAP police officers, ambushed by the 400 Mawozo gang, then locked in a trailer at gunpoint for 3.5 hours until the leader Lamont Sanjou showed up and drove us into the desert.
That singular part really felt like a kid that had some scenario where it wasn't bad, but as he's like translating it to his friends, he's trying to make it seem, you know, as incredible as possible. Not only to make it seem more insane, but you maybe also cover up the part that maybe it wasn't that bad from his experience. For example, if he came out of the whole trip to Haiti with not that much footage, would he really be making this video this action-packed if by the end of the day, or by the time the video was uploaded, he had like not that much footage to showcase for it? I'm gonna talk about this theory later where he might have been more happy than it seems with the outcome of this, you know, footage, and how it might have been the best case scenario that he wanted personally. But back to comedy time, because there's one part where he mentioned like he brought officers, but then it was useless because they were outnumbered by 400 gang members. So I really want to see the part of the video when it comes out of them just like leaving him, which, you know, I don't blame them, because not only are they probably getting paid not that good to have their lives risked, but also you can tell in the trailer he looks like a kid that's having a little bit of fun. Like, how can you not look at that one segment where like he's smoking a cigar and drinking a Magnum, like regardless if it was like before or during the kidnapping, it still looked like he was having a decent time, which he most likely was, because he mentioned like how he befriended the gang leader that he was interviewing, which also was a really part of the video where like he mentioned he befriended him, but he talks about how the gang leader is friends with the FBI's most wanted man ever on the list.
This is the story of how we played one giant game of chess to survive unharmed. A story of how we survived by befriending one of FBI's most wanted fugitives, Lamont Sanjou, a man who is allies with FBI's #1 most wanted in the entire world. A man who has previously kidnapped 17 missionaries and worships the devil.
Bro, come on, man, that's badass. But I really want to ask this guy, the YouTuber, Your Fellow Arab, how does that make you look if you said you befriended the gang leader who's friends with a borderline insane man that's wanted by the FBI? Like, it's not that hard to draw a connection between, you know, a batshit crazy guy, a gang leader, and somewhere along the line they're gonna find you as well, someone connected with him, you know, seeming like friends, you know, like Vin Diesel family.
This was no longer just a YouTube video. This was real life.
This part, I'm not kidding, when I first saw it, it made me verbally say out loud, okay dude, calm the down. Like he said himself, all we care about is going back to our family safely. But in that helicopter clip, you can see like the glimpse of his eyes be so happy because he just got the juiciest footage to showcase in the video that's gonna blow up and get a shit ton of views. And you really can't argue with that perspective because at the end, he tries to, you know, make it like a final big bang, make it grandiose with all the Battlefield music. So, moral of the story, I think I've realized now that I really don't like this type of journalism on YouTube where it's very high risk but very low reward. Because I would much rather have like an actual crew of expert journalists from some, you know, credible company going to the country safely with actual reinforcements to get like a good like look into the country. Because if you're a single YouTuber like he was, of course you have way more freedom because the gang would be more happy to invite one guy as opposed to a crew of people. But at the same time, what defense do you have if they took you hostage and, you know, just wanted to kill you? Because in the first video where he was in a hotel, he made it seem like, you know, all it takes is one guy, a very dumb guy with an AK-47 to just end this story. But now looking back, which I will admit, I had no idea before watching this trailer that Haiti was this bad. I should have definitely, you know, gone back to that video and done more research on the country. But now looking back, I don't think it's a case of if a dumb guy does something dumb, it's more of a case of when a dumb guy does something dumb, because they're all basically insane. And the safest outcome, which was this one where he got out and he made the video, all it does is just like encourage other people to be like this half-assed and go into the country themselves to get their own, you know, juicy video that's gonna blow up. But at the same time, if your only plan to get views on the video is you have a plan this insane and dangerous, you should most likely rethink what kind of content you want to make on your channel.